which is the Empire of Pride. Have you pledged allegiance to the rainbow flag today?
It's been a big part of my life this month. It's everywhere I go. It's all I see. And I feel like I've seen so many rainbows this month. It's like when you're driving on the motorway for a few hours and you stop driving, but you still see
Yeah.
the road. I feel like I've got rainbows everywhere.
Yeah.
And you know, and good luck to everybody. Be who you want to be. What you want to do within the
Reasonable bounds.
within reasonable bounds. As long as you're not hurting anyone else. As long as it's not conflicting with what's desirable, what we all need as a society collectively. And you do what you want to do. Be who you want to be. And it takes incredible bravery to stand up and say this is how I want to live, and we're all okay with it. What you do with consenting adults or in your own home, whatever you want to do is fine. But we don't care. It's of no consequence. The rest of us, we're trying to pay our mortgage.
Do we really need to dethrone the national flag though, to honour the fact that you take it up the rear?
The idea of there being the importance placed on this Pride Month is the idea that these people who come out and are living like this are somehow incredibly deeply oppressed and subject to extreme bigotry and violence and danger on a mass scale. That's for me, is the implication of this big push of Pride Month, and that's not that's a lie. That's not true. This country is very very liberal, very open, and very respectful and tolerant and of whatever people want to be, and we just. As long as it's not harming anyone else, you do and be what you want to be, and we support you with that. But don't push this lie that we live in a country of hatred and bigotry and oppression and prejudice, where these people are being held down and forced into miserable lives because of some sort of bigoted attitude of other people, because that's not the country we live in, and that's not, that's happening on a very small scale, certainly, but in wider society, it's the people live whatever life they want to live.
But also,
That's how it is.
the more you impose what has become an ideological agenda with distinctive symbols, with a distinctive ethos, and a particular sort of chosen class, like when the British were conquering their empire, it wasn't a coincidence that it was British people that that were put in positions in charge, that were administering the empire. Well, it wasn't a coincidence, and they symbolized, and those people who joined them, like, so you had like an Indian administrative class underneath the British. They symbolized themselves using the British flag. This was an imperial and ideological statement, a mission of intent. And it's no surprise that you get the similar sort of thing happening with the pride flag. It's just a different constituency that is being taken care of, that is having the regime that they wish to have imposed. And this is not all gay people or all trans people or anything like that. This is a particularly narrow band of progressive, ideologically captured people who are using this to enforce their ideals on other people. And that's where the problem, I think, really comes in. And I think this is why so many people are just like, no, we're just not having this. We're just going to start revolting against it, which we'll look at in a second. But if you want to support us, go and watch my book club on Ivola's Revolt Against the Modern World, which honestly at this point I'm totally on board with. I hate modernity. I just hate it. And Evola, this is the second part, because the book's divided in two halves. And in this one, he's talking about the cycle of civilizations, right?
Sure.
And I think that's actually what we're starting to see play out now against the Empire of Pride. You come in, you get the conquering force that's full of vim and takes over a place that isn't prepared to defend itself against it. And then you start getting people going, "No, hang on a second, no." And then the energy flows and the cycle continues, like the wheel turns. And we're on the downswing for the Empire of Pride at the moment, I think.
I think it's incredibly self-defeating to have this flag plastered literally everywhere, to have streets lined with this flag, to have it on, every TV advert, marketing on the internet, this flag everywhere. I think it's extremely self-defeating because historically that has very negative connotations to people. People see a flag plastered everywhere, the same flag, it's in their face day in, day out. That doesn't have positive connotations for people.
Let's look at some of that, because we've covered the Imperial Pride flag recently, right? About a year ago we covered this, because again it was Pride Month and it was just literally everywhere. Like a gay army had marched in and started erecting these flags, like when the Nazis invaded Austria, right? And it's just like, what is this? This was in everyone's faces, and it's just remarkable how many people are pledging allegiance to this flag over other flags. Like the first one, the Empire of Pride, has conquered the capital of the United States. If you go to the next one, like you can say just this Joe Biden, or the President Biden, a Twitter account. America is a nation of pride.
I saw the video of him speaking at that event. I think he was on an awful lot of meds that day. He doesn't know where he is or who he is.
Sure, but his handlers, whoever uses his Twitter account,
Yeah, well, who knows? Who knows what's going on there and what's happening behind the scenes, because he doesn't know where he's coming or going. I'm sure he's distracted by all the lovely colours in the flag, but
you can see, like, okay, for a comparison, Andrew, what do you think you would have to achieve for Biden to display your flag at the White House? If you created a flag, how much effort do you think it is to get Biden to display it? Could you do it? Is there a possibility of it happening?
Well, I'd have to have some real dirt on him. I'd have to have something really, probably something to do with Hunter Biden's laptop. It's probably something to do with Hunter, wouldn't it?
But
some proper real dirt
at the bloody White House to fly a flag that isn't the American flag. Like, that is mad that this has gone this far.
Yeah, it's just self-defeating because it doesn't reflect the values of most
People.
of gay people, I would say, or most trans people either. Or
Sure, but
it really doesn't. They just want to get on with their lives and quietly and do what they want to do. Want to be. There's this kind of very angry sort of campaign.
Yeah, it's an aggressive campaign, isn't it?
Because it's underpinned by this idea of victimhood, and we're terribly oppressed and discriminated against and held back, and it's like, well,
no one really believes it.
Well, it's not true. It's not true. You're supported, but if you can make it true, if you can make people believe that, there's all sorts of benefits, and also your rights become elevated above the rights of other people, don't they?
Well, that's the problem. I mean, if you go to the next one, you can see that Biden has given many speeches pledging allegiance to what he calls, quote, transgender Americans, which seems unkind, in my opinion. I disavow for YouTube. Yeah. But if we go to the next one, you can see that they just put out all of this propaganda all the time. That's not the one that I was looking for, but it's fine. They put out various videos and whatnot on the White House web pages, just saying, we are totally. That's fine. Don't worry. We'll move on to the next one. So, in Britain, we've pledged allegiance to the Pride flag too. That's Callum. Oh, here we go. This is the White House lit up in pride. Again, what if you had a political movement? What would you have to do to get them to do this? You can't even think. How would I get the President of the United States to beam my flag onto the White House and put this video out?
Well, there's two things on it. It's either there's dirt on him, but also there's money. It's whoever's funding the Democratic
maybe big gays
upcoming electoral campaign. There's
but I think
funding, isn't it?
I think it's ideological. I think it's about belief. Yeah, I think these people are in an ideology that this takes on the aspect of a religion, a sort of an imperial religion. Like, this is kind of like Islam, progressive Islam for me. And so we've got, like, you know, all sorts of demonstrations of faith, you know, in the same way that like ISIS would put up their flags and would have their sacred scriptures and things like that. This is how it looks to me. But like I said, in Britain, we pledge allegiance to the pride flag too.
Yeah.
On the police. It doesn't bother me at all. If you go to the next one, it's just pride flag everywhere, literally everywhere. Don't you just love watching the Beefeaters on parade under the pride flag?
Yeah.
Guys, just makes you feel so patriotic, doesn't
And
it?
these traffic lights have been
yeah.
been there for a while as well.
Yeah.
It's not a
No, they're not new.
new thing. They're kind of year round.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just literally, you can't go for a walk and sit down without just, as you said, literally everywhere. And God forbid you go on the underground in London. Like, can you even, just the garishness?
It's extreme.
Are you gay yet?
An incredible amount of money's been spent.
Yeah.
Extraordinary amount of money's been spent at a time when heaven knows there are things that need money spent on it.
It probably isn't
But,
this.
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's nice to see a splash of colour about the place. It's nice not everything's grey all the time, but it's extreme, and it's you know, it's pushing a false agenda. You know, that's my problem. Is you know, be who you want to be, do what you want to do, but don't tell me lies. Don't you know? Don't pretend that this horrendous, bigoted, oppressive country that, you know, hates and discriminates and is violent towards gay people and trans people, because
Where's the evidence?
it isn't, and you know, the majority of gay people, I'm sure, would agree with that, and you know, absolutely tearing their hair out when they see all this stuff, and I'm sure it's infuriating if you happen to be a gay person just trying to get on with your life, to have this to be lumped in with these extremists.
Again, and it's a narrow band as well. It's a very narrow, very progressive political activist class that is benefiting from this. They are the ones in control here. They're the ones with the reins of power. This isn't like the average gay person, right? But it's the one at Regent Street that got me really. Again, it just got my goat, man. Yeah. Like, that to me looks like the symbol of conquest, right?
Yeah, it definitely makes you feel uneasy looking at it. It looks
something is occupying our country.
Very sinister overtones.
Yes. And so they leave a link with this, because they posted this out proudly, you know, we're so proud to have this. And so they explain where these flags come from. They're created by Americans. And they begin in America. And for some reason, Central London's like, we need an American flag, a flag that was made by Americans, to be flown. But this latest one is actually a new innovation, created by someone called Valentino. Sorry, you can go to the next one. Valentino Vaccelletti, typical British name that. So this particular one with the circle in it, which apparently represent intersex people, have put that up, and eventually, like, it's surely just going to keep going then, right? So they've got a flag that they recognize and continually modify. I mean, this Valentino person says, I created the intersex inclusion on the pride flag to bring my community joy and to create greater allyship and support for people with intersex variations in the wider LGBT plus community. And so they tell us, flags are important cultural symbols. That's right. And I cannot wait to walk along Regent Street while it's adorned with its beautiful flags, knowing how much joy they will bring me. There are surely other political movements where the leaders of those political movements would have said something very similar.
Yeah, well, I love a Twitter profile, and it tells me everything I need to know. I love it when they've got 10 different jobs in their profile. He's an intersex columnist, an artist, presenter, consultant, TV for film and theatre. It's like, so you're not very good at anything. You're not very good at anything. So you've spread yourself over across all this stuff just to try.
All I'm saying is, this is a failed artist with a political flag that's adorning the streets in the background. I'm just saying this has happened before. Right? I'm
Yeah.
just saying. Right?
He's even got the dodgy moustache as well.
Yes, indeed. Right. So, I mean, like I said, this keeps changing. So it'll eventually end up in this. We have the latest. This literally some LGBT network. I mean, can you imagine anything more horrific to look at? One day that's going to be lining the streets.
Yeah, it feels slightly hypnotic, and again, that's quite quite off-putting as well. My goodness,
it is a raw assault on the senses, but it is also the logical conclusion of where this goes. But the point that people make is that flags mean things, right? There's a purpose behind a flag. It's a symbol of a message. We get the next one. Nope, there's one before that as well, John, but that's okay. The point of flags is that they are statements of ideological dominion. These are the things we believe. This is the ruling moral order of the place in which you're in. And this is why people are posting pictures like this, saying, look, if you have a particular ideological agenda, you put up the flag of that agenda. And so there's no particular difference between the pride flag and any other ideological flag that takes the place of national flags.
And of course, it's an instant association you make in your mind. You can't do anything like. But then you think it's so self-defeating, and it's such an obvious association. You think, is there something else behind it? Surely you must have known that when you put all this stuff up. You must have known the association people were going to make. So what's the deal with that? Because surely you must know that's self-defeating. Everyone's going to look at that and instantly think of
other ideological conquests that have happened.
So is this purposely self-defeating? And if so, why? Because I can't. It's difficult to believe anyone would be that foolish not to make that association before going ahead with this.
Well, I mean, I don't know. So I'm just going to defer to the workmen who put these flags up. Because this video went around the other day, and it really does summarize exactly how I feel about it. Let's just watch.
You're taking the wrong fucking flag down, mate. What, you think I don't know that? Well, you know that. At least you know that.
100%.
Could that be more symbolic?
Yeah, it's very. It's worrying to see people going along with things they don't agree with.
I mean, but look at it though. Like literally putting up all these ideological flags and just dropping the British flag, and the guy, the Londoners doing it. Obviously, old-fashioned Londoners who are just like, you're putting up the wrong flag. He's like, don't you think I know that? It's like, then why are you doing it?
Well, this is it. He's like so many people. He's got, a mortgage or a family to support. Yeah. He's going along with this stuff he knows is wrong, and there are millions others like him. Yeah. And that's the real source of concern for me, and the consequence of that is this very poisonous, dishonest culture.
But like I say, he knows it's wrong, right? He knows it's wrong. Anyway, let's move on. You got people like Lawrence Fox who are in total objection to this, who are just like, look, you should just tear this flag down. Now, we're not advocating any call to action here. This was Lawrence Fox's opinion, but I don't think his description of it's wrong. This flag segregates down racial and sexual lines, purity of certain identity groups, experimentation and mutilation of children, support for homophobia, ideology over nationality. I mean, it's not necessarily wrong at all. No. And so there are people who are, I mean, it's very bluntly put.
He's gone in hard, but he's recovering from surgery at the moment, so he's probably quite irritable.
I can imagine, yeah. Get well soon, Lawrence. To get to the next one, you can see that people are starting to just get sick of it. 3 men on CCTV were caught just tearing down gay pride flags at the historic Stonewall National Monument in Greenwich Village. They just tore it down, they were sick of it. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they were just average MAGA chuds who just hate gay people. But the police are on it, obviously. Police are still looking to track down the vandals. That's right. This is what the New York Police Department is concerned with. They've got no greater issues in New York. Right? Someone vandalized a pride flag. I mean, the New York police only solve about 30% of all crimes.
That's quite good if you compare them to UK police.
Well, compared to the Met, yeah. If you go to the next one, you can compare to the Met. That does sound good.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not great, is it? But vandalize a pride flag, they're going to be right on it. Get mugged or shot, well, there's a much lower chance.
Of course. Yeah.
But the point is, this is only contentious because the ideology itself controls our country. You know, the state, the police, the courts, none of them would bat an eyelid if you tore down the flag of an ideology that wasn't ruling the country. If you burned a Nazi flag, burn a Soviet flag, no one's going to care. Burn an American flag, burn a British flag, no one's going to care. Burn a pride flag and it's a hate crime.
Yeah.
So people, like I said, are revolting against the empire of pride. At one school, a bunch of students tore down the pride stuff and just chanted, USA are my pronouns. But that's very interesting, isn't it? Because instead of saying we're straight, they said we're Americans. Isn't that interesting? Because that shows you how this is a sort of different nationality they feel is being imposed upon them. You know, if the response to this is to assert not their sexual identity, but their national identity, that shows you in which way that the Pride Empire is approaching them as a conquering foreign power and not something that is a part of themselves. And so they assert their national identity in response, which I think is very interesting. And the free market is starting to realize that the backlash is coming and maybe it's not a good thing for them. The Guardian put up an article of all of the companies that refused or have taken down their Pride merch in Pride Month. And if you scroll through this very quickly, it's quite a lot, actually. You just scroll down. You just keep going.
Ubiquitous,
Keep going, because it's quite long. Just keep going. You're still only in A's, John. Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely ubiquitous.
Yeah, there are loads of them that are just like, maybe everyone hates this pride stuff because it's weird and foreign and we shouldn't have been imposing it on them. And what's interesting, though, just to finish this up quickly, if you go to the next one, Starbucks actively banned pride decorations in their stores, which went down like an absolute lead balloon with the online Twitter mob, as you might expect, because people obviously don't like it. I mean, I love the way they frame this. Like, the company's workers' union claimed on Tuesday that it banned pride decorations in stores halfway through Pride Month. Halfway through gay Ramadan? How could they? How dare they?
Yeah, it's interesting because Starbucks historically have a reputation of
Unbelievably
hugely supportive of LGBTQ community, and you know, that's somewhere where you'd work if you were you go and work if you were a member of LGBTQ, and they'd actively seek to give people jobs from those communities, and that's their historical reputation. So it's fascinating that it comes from, that's where it comes from. But it's,
do you know why? Well, so now I think that there's essentially a sort of free market backlash to this. Right? Like if you look at the Bud Light thing, where people are just like, no, we're just not having it. We're just not having it. We are actually going to boycott. I think that a lot of people are just getting to the point where it's like, no, I'm just not having it. And but there's internal reasons as well, right? Employees at a Maryland store were told that some people felt excluded by pride decorations. Posts on Reddit that did not indicate the location showed that other workers were also told that some customers considered pride decor to be exclusionary. Because it is.
Yeah.
It's actively exclusionary because there's nothing on it for straight people.
Yeah.
Like, it will be inclusive when you have straight pride on the pride flag.
Yeah, well, I think you'd walk past there and think, oh, I'm not allowed in here this month. Okay, I can't come back in August.
So they are right. It's an exclusive ideological empire, and people are just openly in revolt against it at this point. Good. You don't have to cooperate with this. This doesn't have to be the way our civilization is. You can just be normal.
Thanks for watching this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you feel like supporting us, you can feel free to visit our merch site where you can get all sorts of merch, including hoodies, t-shirts, notebooks, and mugs. And if you feel like keeping up to date with what we've got going on, you can follow us on Twitter and Getter at LotusEaters_com. Thank you and goodbye.